Hey everybody, Squirrel here with Easy Tarot Lessons, and I am with Sally and Mandy. Hey ladies.
Hi there.
Hi.
And guess who we have with us today? You guys gonna sing for me?
Oh God.
Here comes the
The
sun.
sun.
Da da
Ding.
da da. We might
I
should.
wish that was true. It
Now we have
sounds
to
easier.
apologize to
Yeah.
everyone.
If your eardrums are bleeding,
Right? Dogs are howling.
I wish it was sunny here too. It's been raining all day, so I need a dose of this card.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So Sally, tell me what you
Yes.
think of this bad boy.
Oh, bad boy. This is a good boy. I'm looking at this card and it's happy, it's fun-loving, it's protected. The flowers and feather on his hat remind me of the Fool card from way
Mm.
back. Just that innocence. Um, Playing games, soaking in the sun, comfortable in your own skin because you don't realize that skin's a bad thing. Um, the sun, when it presents like this, is really hard for me to see negatively. It comes across very positively to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever seen it negative was in a group, and Alex was going to the Black Sea for a vacation, and they told him to stay out of the not to stay in the sun's rays because of the little wiggly lines in the sun. They're like,
Hmm.
watch for sunburn or sun poisoning. That's the only time I've seen
Ah.
it.
Right.
And I think it might have been even reversed then.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I could see that with reverse. Wow, we're jumping to reverse real early
Oh,
today.
yeah, let's go. Boom, we're done. Okay. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
I love looking at the sun since, the last time we looked at the moon and looking at the similarities and differences between the two because you have that shiny object in the sky and we see the sun and moon regularly, but whereas the moon changes faces, the sun never does. The sun always has the face and until it hits, an eclipse or something like that. But the sun is the sun is the sun, whereas the moon changes. And you still get that ever-present feel from both. Hanging over you, guiding your way, looking over you. There are faces in both. I think it's interesting that in this deck, the sun seems more masculine and the moon seems more feminine. Yet in some languages, the sun is feminine and the moon is masculine. So, it's gonna how you see it is going to depend on what your background is, what your situation is. But yeah,
Yeah.
so the sun open, obvious, out there, safe, warm, secure. I don't know what else I can say about the sun.
Mm.
I know, it's
Supported.
like right all there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mandy,
Yeah.
did she take all of it? No.
Yeah.
That's, it's
Might
hard
have
not
done,
to,
yeah.
isn't it? It's like, oh, I see
Yeah.
this and I see this. That was
I mean,
great.
it is very creative, and it really is. Like like sometimes if you're doing a creative project, you sort of say, "Oh, this is my baby." Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
Yes.
not. I do get that from it often. It's kind of like if this, I agree with you, Sally. It's very hard to be anything other than positive with the sun. But if somebody is kind of looking to sort of start something new, this is very much a beginnings card. It's just kind of really a good omen that this is going to kind of grow into something. And because the sun is the ultimate bringer of life and
Mhm.
creativity, so you know, um, and yeah, I do see childhood and playfulness and Leo energy, all
Yeah.
that sort
Mhm.
of thing. I've got to be honest, for me, sometimes I will just see that red flag, and because that flag is quite you know, like I was in Les Miserables, the musical, for years,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this whole big scene on the barricades with, and in all of the photos, it's a lot of the publicity photos of Les Mis is this great big red flag, and sometimes
Right.
I see that, and that was all about, you know, they were fighting a revolution to have to you know, to give hope to people for sort of, you know, for life, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the bringer of life. If I want to go a little bit more kind of like grown up with it, I might go with the flag on it because it sort of means something to me, because
Mm-hmm.
it meant something in the show.
I'm
And now it means
s-
something to us. So yay.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that because we've been saying that all along. It is from your perspective and your worldview. And that's a great meaning for this card, even though it's not in any book. It's not going to be anywhere but out of Mandy's mouth, now in mine and Sally's heads, and hopefully y'all's. But that is an amazing interpretation of it because of something you know. That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you
I mean,
can
I
go,
wouldn't
Mandy.
always kind of automatically go with that, but if it's appropriate to the reading, I just think it comes up for me to see that red flag of, you know, revolution, and this is for the greater good of everybody, that sort of thing, you know. So, and to start a new life and a new world for everyone. So, yeah, and I find that very, very kind of warrior like and dynamic when I
Mm-hmm.
do go that way with it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't often refer very much to the horse though, do you?
I do as a support. You know, you're going to get support for your project. You know, this new thing you're trying out. It's a safe environment. You have the support of someone else. So yeah, I do see that every once in a while.
Mm. Mm.
Nice.
But I wonder, I mean, I wonder why they have chosen such a white horse for the card, do you
Purity,
know?
white.
Oh
That's
yeah,
all I can. I
yeah.
mean, that's not all I can think of, but that purity just jumps. Everything about the card is so pure, especially that child. He's wide open. His arms, his legs. His here I
Mm.
am, world.
I think
Love
we ought to
me.
take a marker and make it a unicorn and throw it
Yeah.
at everybody.
I mean, I would definitely say this is a positive card if somebody's
Mm-hmm.
wondering if they're going to have children, you know, and this
Oh,
card comes up, that would just be a big fat yes, right, for me.
oh
Um,
yeah.
I do sometimes literally just see it as sunshine, go and have a holiday,
Mm-hmm.
go and, you know, literally go to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say, I think I've mentioned this reading that we did once before in a group, whether there was there life in this universe, an intelligent life other than on this planet. And we said, is there life in our own solar system? And then we said, is there life in our galaxy? And finally,
Mm-hmm.
is there life in the universe? And this card came up for our solar system, but it came up reversed, and it was very significant that the sun reverse came up within our own solar system,
Mm-hmm.
because I do it was like global warming. That's kind of like what it just jumped out and said, because it came out reversed in answer to such a specific question. It was
Mm-hmm.
quite freaky when it, you know, when it came,
Yeah.
when this one came about. So yeah. And I do think it is kind of go and be playful, go and have some fun. It is very sacral chakra, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing.
Look,
So
Ma, no hands.
yeah.
And to me, that says if you want to try something new, try it in a safe environment first, maybe.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
like if I were doing a question on, oh, I don't know, a new computer system. I know this is way out of the realm of the esoteric, but somebody's asking about, you know, trying out this something in a new computer system. I'd say, you know, sandbox it, put it in a protected environment before you released it into the wild, and make sure it works first. You
Two
know, it's
things
safer there.
I want to say about what you just said, and just brilliance all the way around. But it is a non-esoteric question, but that's honestly the main kind of readings I get are not. I don't get a whole lot of clients asking esoteric questions. I get everyday real life questions. And
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
ability to put these cards into real life situations. Because if I come to you asking about a new computer, whatever you said,
I'm not
technical
going to pull out my
terms,
computer
it's a
tarot deck. I'm going to use this deck.
thingamajiggy. Yeah, yeah, and you tell me to, you see the sun and say, oh, get in touch with your inner child. I'm gonna go walking out saying, what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
whereas you're able to put it into everyday form, you're able to put it into esoteric form. You're able to interpret these cards however they come up with any question and not have to make it all, I'm sorry, frou-frou.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And
Oh,
and the
sorry,
second
my yappy dog. Yeah.
the second thing I'd like to say is that's twice you've mentioned the protective environment. And I want to tell you, I read these cards for what, 30 some odd years and never noticed why it was a protective environment until I joined the school. How about you tell us?
For me, it's the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's also the horse. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
and the sun looking overhead. It's a walled garden for me. And to me, walled gardens are safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I,
Mm.
I had never realized that that was a safe environment until this school. So I'm glad you pointed that out and were able to show why, because that'll come up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the red flag is also sort of an indication of safety because depending on the question, because it's like saying stop, isn't it? It's kind of like you'll get a clear signal to stop if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm reciting Eddie Izzard in my head. Do you have a flag?
I know. Our heads were echoing together there.
Do you know? It's very English this, but there's a like a film and a book and a play, The Railway Children.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that? Have you heard
I
of that
the
story?
book, the book. Yes, I've seen.
Yeah, and there's this thing where they have to stop the train or something because a tree has fallen across the track, and if they don't stop the train, lots of people will be killed, and that
Mm-hmm.
and these three children and the girls take off their red petticoats and wave their red petticoats and save the train. The train stops and no one gets killed, and they're the sort of heroes. And there's a little sort of element of that as well with
Oh,
this because I think
yeah.
That's perfect. I love that.
the safety thing is definitely there. If you need it.
How about that feather?
Like I said before, it kind of reminds me of the Fool. I think there's a playfulness, a jauntiness to it. He has his jaunty cap.
It's a baby fool.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. They're kindred spirits.
I love that. And I just now
Mm.
noticed he has a little crown of tiny
Mhm.
sunflowers on his head. I thought that was his hair.
Do you think it's a boy child then? I don't know if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no clue. No clue. I just always
No.
referred to him as a he because I see the sun as a he.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How
Don't
about
know.
reversed?
I think you're right about the sunburn, what you said
Oh,
about the
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Unsafe
Uh,
environment, unsupported, maybe a little wild child. I don't know.
oh. Or maybe like your creativity is just not going to kind of
Right.
happen. It's just not going to grow.
Radiation sickness,
Yeah.
crops that
Mmm.
fail, all kinds of things can come out of this one. Drought.
I mean, if you wanted to be really kind of brutal with it, I mean, you could just sort of say exploitation of innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
nice. Not
Yeah,
nice, but you know what
definitely.
I
Not
mean.
nice,
And I
but
am. a purely solar powered creature. So to me, the sun in reverse is depression.
That makes
Right.
sense.
If I'm
It's a
missing the sun
very,
too
it's a
long.
very fundamental card, this, isn't it? I
Yes, it
mean, it is. It without this, there's no existence, is there,
is. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
for us?
Not as far as we know existence.
In the form of happiness, upright, back to upright, just so people
Mm-hmm.
can keep up.
Yeah.
In the form of happiness, would you two prefer the sun or the Ten of Cups?
The sun.
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 I think I'm more. I think I'm a little bit more excited about beginnings than endings, and I feel the Ten of Cups is a little bit idealistic,
Yeah.
and whereas I just feel like this has just got all sorts of possibilities from this point onwards because it's
It
got off to such a great start.
it's supercharged. You know, those rays are just like
Yeah.
bzzz.
Yeah,
And you know he's having fun. That's one happy child.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And sometimes I think it just means just be a big kid. Stop
Mm-hmm.
trying to take care of
definitely.
everything for a minute and just have fun.
Now there's a deck out there that you and I have looked at, Sharon, that has two different versions of the sun, right?
The Prague?
Yeah.
Yes.
And one kind of shows it as a man child,
Mhm.
right? And
With
then
his
one
foot.
is,
Is that the one with his foot on the wooden rocking
I
horse?
think so. I think so. And they give you two very different vibes, which is why, study the art of your the cards you're using, because they say the same thing, the sun, but one sun reads one way and the other sun reads a completely different way.
Another
Oh.
brilliant Sally moment. She has a lot of them apparently. But
I've been sick lately. I got a lot of sleep. It's awesome.
but that was such a good point because everything we've been saying on these podcasts for the card meetings, we are looking at the Rider-Waite Smith deck. And if you
Yes.
take any other deck that's even Rider-Waite Smith based, you're going to see a different image. If you know
Hmm.
your deck, you know those cards, you're never going to be stumped with what the heck it means. So, yeah, I'm really glad you said that. Everything we've talked about so far has mainly been Rider-Waite Smith based.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But something like the Tarot of Prague, it says it's Rider-Waite Smith based, but it's an entirely different animal.
Hmm. Which is a whole different podcast.
We actually
Yeah.
we have one in Easy Tarot Lessons where we looked at all the modern spellcaster. Not all of them. That would have taken 2 years. Beautiful deck, but we were looking at the modern spellcaster deck and showing how it was different
Hmm.
in composition than the Rider Waite Smith. It's
Hmm.
on YouTube at Libsyn and Podomatic. So, and yeah, those would be fun to explore different decks. Wow, we could be
Oh,
doing podcasts for
definitely. Yeah.
years.
But even like you say, an actual Rider-Waite deck, just a different, if you look at like the radiant Rider-Waite,
Hmm.
because the colours are sort of different in places,
Hmm.
you just can get a different feel from it, and that's pretty much the same images, but even that can
Exactly.
sort of change what you say.
Hmm.
One of the most beautiful Rider-Waite Smith base decks out there, in my opinion, is Eric C. Dunn's Illuminati Tarot, and it's very Rider-Waite based,
Hmm.
but the images are different enough that they can still have their own meanings. He
Hmm.
doesn't veer very far, but they definitely have their
Mm,
own feel to them.
Hmm.
mm,
Anything else to
very
add
good.
about the sun?
For what started out as a really short podcast, we went on.
Well, the one thing we've not really mentioned, I mean, apart from one little fleeting mention, is the face of the sun,
Hmm.
which is probably the biggest thing, maybe one of the biggest things on the whole card, but we just overlook. We just accept that it's a face.
Mhm.
You know, we don't mention the expression of it or the gaze of it or anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't seem to sort of inspire very much discussion. Funnily enough, does it?
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because to me it looks it's straight on. It's not looking
Yeah.
left, right. It's straight on, and the expression is neutral. I don't
Yeah.
see it as happy, sad. I just see it as constant, like the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that should be just noted, that
Hmm.
consistency of it might be what the card is about. I
Hmm.
don't
Oh,
know.
a really good example right there would be, like somebody coming in and saying, I just can't get my kid to behave. And you get this sun card, and that's what you're drawn to, that face. You've got to
Mm.
be consistent. You can't give
Hmm.
him candy one minute when he's
Yeah.
screaming and then spank him the next
Yeah.
time. Be
Hmm.
Yeah.
consistent.
Hmm.
There is no shade though, is there, in this card?
Yes, yes. You could say there's no place to hide.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it is very exposed and it is very
Hmm.
open and it is very daytime.
I love it. I want to be
Mm.
there, especially
Right now.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gray and dreary here too, Sharon. So we need more sun.
Yeah. So, anybody got anything to add to this epic
No,
card?
no, that's it.
Love the sun.
Yeah,
So,
good
if
one.
anybody has any comments, give us any insight to how you see it. Share. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank
I
you,
had a great
Sharon.
time.
Thank you, Sharon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.